Hello, and once again, welcome to the program, Your Local Government. I'm Bob Miller with Blue Ridge Communications, and this is the show that focuses on government. And one of the biggest jobs of our local and state government is education, and of course, it's ever-changing, and there's new trends that are coming. And our guest today, one of three, is Dr. Brian Troop, Superintendent at Ephrata Area School District. And our subject is going to be how technology is taking a role in changing education, and to what he's going to help us understand is blended learning, and we're going to get a bit into that. But first, Dr. Troop, there still might be some people that are new to you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with the district.
Sure. I started off as a teacher in both middle school and elementary school levels. Was an elementary principal for a while. Worked with IU13 as a consultant. About 5 years ago, I joined the Ephrata Area School District as assistant superintendent, and for the last 3, I've served as superintendent.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's clearly a challenging time with all the things that are happening with education. There was some scary time with the state budget, and there's always the demands of children that have, unique learning abilities, and those that are very high achievers, those that are struggling, and trying to keep it all together is
Certainly
quite the difficult job. Now, one of the things we're talking about today is that the district will be issuing either an iPad or a laptop to each district students in grades 5 to 12 in the 16-17 year, and this is a first. So what brought you to the decision that this is good for education?
Well, it is a very exciting time, I think, for the Ephrata Area School District. It's really been a team effort to get to this point. A lot of things have been happening behind the scenes as well as out front, and for teachers and parents and students to recognize. With that team approach, the reason that we're really looking to equip students with technology devices like you just mentioned really follows 4 reasons, TEAM of team. We want to make sure we recognize that teachers are still our most valuable resource in our classrooms. They make it all happen. That's where the rubber meets the road, and a highly skilled teacher can do wonders in a classroom with the students who bring all sorts of challenges and potentials into each classroom, as you mentioned. Arming those teachers and equipping our students with the latest technology to accomplish those tasks and reach every individual learner is what we feel is our responsibility, and we're excited, very excited to be at this point where we can do that this coming year. Another big objective of this move, the E in team, is about the environment. We've had a long history. The school board has supported, and the district leadership for the last decade has taken it upon themselves to put the latest technology in front of our students and in the hands of our teachers. We want our classrooms to be relevant places for kids to connect, teachers to take advantage of the latest tools to be able to engage all of our learners. The A is access. In addition to challenges with learning and potentials with learning, there's an uneven playing field out there. By giving students access to technology from the school, that sort of levels the playing field. And I think it's a big advantage for those students who may not have unlimited access to technology at home, to be able to give them that so that they can engage 24/7 as much as any student can. And then finally, our mission. Our mission really charges us to help all kids reach their potential. And if we graduate seniors and don't give them a real life learning experience through technology, we don't feel like we're setting them up for success throughout the rest of their lives to hit their potential no matter what path they choose after high school. So having them have real experiences with technology in our school environment is something we believe is really what our mission calls us to do.
Absolutely. Well, clearly instruction has changed tremendously. I mean, many of the people who are viewing this program, you went to school with your books, and the teacher got up and told you what was in the books, and then you got tested on what the teacher
That's what we all did, didn't we?
That's what we all did. Now, you're calling this one-to-one technology. So why is this now the new paradigm that we have to follow?
Well, it's really, we're trying to blend the virtual instructional model, where kids are really engaging in content and connecting with each other, teacher, and outside experts through technology, with the best of what we have to offer in our classrooms. Like I said before, our teachers are the most valuable resources, and some of the things that they can do with connecting with kids and understanding how kids think and connecting the content to them in ways that only a highly skilled professional can do. We want to preserve those things, but we also want to give an alternate path for kids to connect with each other and their teacher and the content through the virtual world. And some kids like to have more control over their learning pace, where they engage, how they demonstrate that they've mastered content. So we can do a lot more of that individualized with technology than we could 5 years ago, even, because the learning management systems weren't up to date, the content wasn't available. So there's a lot of resources just in the last couple of years that have made this possible.
Absolutely. Help us understand, how does the laptop compare to the book? I mean, obviously you open the book, you read through. The laptop, and many of the people watching this shows have, maybe used a laptop for the internet, but they've really not used it for educational purposes. How does the educational presentation change with the computer?
Well, certainly the digital content is much more interactive than a static textbook. It's more relevant, it's up to date, it can be updated the day of its use in the classroom, whereas a textbook is as stale as the copyright date and probably even a couple years before that.
Sure.
So I think having it being relevant and connected to today's environment and what the kids are really used to interacting with when they're not in school,
right.
With video, with interactive text where there's links where they can follow interests and pursue some of their passions right on the spot live, where they can't do any of that with a textbook.
Sure. One of the things you mentioned was the students can interact with each other. Some people may be vague as to what that means. How, while they're learning, are they interacting, and why is that beneficial?
Well, the learning management system, which is really the landing point for the students when they engage with the content, where someone can answer a question and another student can then comment on that response and add to it, or ask a question of that other student, where the networking can happen multiple times throughout one exercise, whereas in a traditional classroom, it's one student raises their hand, they're talking, another person answers that question, and it's linear instead of multi-directional, so it can happen a whole lot more in quantity. And a lot of times kids are better at articulating their questions or their thoughts when they're processing it through writing.
Sure, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but is this kind of like a Facebook group where somebody comments and others can then jump in and comment on the comments?
In format, it's very similar to that, yes.
Interesting. How does that get the kids a little more excited than the old methods? How does that get them more engaged?
Well, they don't have to wait their turn.
Yes.
They can all go at the same time, and it'll all happen simultaneously. Yeah. So that's certainly holding that thought and not being able to contribute when a point is made certainly is an advantage that our digital use will have.
Sure. I was just thinking that some students who might be on the shy side may not want to raise their hands and speak. So does this give opportunity for interplay among those that might not be as socially adept at speaking up?
Certainly, and some kids just need more processing time, where they want to respond to something the teacher said, but they need another 10 minutes or even another hour. Or they need to revisit that topic, and then they can contribute to the conversation. Yes. So it allows for some of that as well.
Okay, so education is changing dramatically, but much to the betterment of the education of the students.
I believe so.
Okay, it's time for a break. We'll be right back after these few words. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to the program, Your Local Government. Our subject today is technology in the schools as it leads to blended learning. Our guest is right now a new one. We have Mr. Hornberger, and Mr. Hornberger, thank you for being with us. And before we start talking about the blended learning, give us a little background how long you've been with the district and what you did prior to this.
Yeah, prior to this, I was an elementary teacher for a period of time. Then I became an assistant principal, an elementary principal, high school principal, and then eventually a director of secondary ed. And 3 years ago, I had the privilege of coming to the Ephrata Area School District as the assistant superintendent for secondary education. Excellent.
Clearly, you have a challenge, and that is not only do you have to prepare the students, so they're probably ready, but preparing the teachers, because this is quite the quantum shift, sure, I would suspect. So particularly those who have been teachers for a long time, they're used to the model of the students come in, I get up and talk, and that's it. And now there's a new model. So how are you preparing the teachers for this?
Well, first we had to avoid the temptation of jumping into this a few years ago when a lot of schools were doing it. We had to make sure it was right for our school district and that our environment was ready. One of the focus areas was small group instruction and the importance of small group instruction in a one-to-one environment. So we did a number of workshops and trainings with small group instruction for our teachers and helping them have the strategies to shrink the classroom. And what I mean by shrink the classroom is that we're trying to create opportunities in our classroom where our teachers are working with smaller groups of students, and that allows for much more individual feedback, much more individual content learning in those types of environments. So the teacher is able to interact with those small groups, while the other groups are working on activities and interacting with technology and interacting with different components of the classroom at their pace. So that was very important to establish that small group environment. Dr. Troop mentioned earlier about blended learning. We wanted to expose our teachers to the blended learning models that are out there, but we also wanted to make sure that our teachers had the flexibility to adapt to what's right for their classroom and what's right for their students. So that was important. And then also the learning management system that Dr. Troop mentioned in the earlier segment was we were really focused on Schoology as our learning management system. And that allows us to take the live content and put it onto a digital platform. And then it creates that blended environment where we take the best of live instruction and a virtual environment within that one singular classroom. So we really had to work on that type of environment to prepare our teachers.
Absolutely. How are the teachers in accepting it?
The teachers have been great. We have some fantastic teachers, and they have embraced the opportunity to learn and expand. A lot of our teachers are really great at small group strategies already, and we just needed to focus it from a standpoint of how to really create that with the whole class. And whole group instruction is still an essential component, but we also want to see small group instruction embedded within that classroom environment. So our teachers have really been excited. They love Schoology. We get a lot of great feedback from Schoology and how they've interacted with that and getting their content into that platform, because it gives them more flexibility to offer more opportunities in the classroom to our students.
Absolutely. And how are the students acclimating themselves to this?
The students are excited. The students are they're native to that type of environment, so they're used to interacting with technology. So the key word that we keep saying is personalized. We want to work, and it's going to take a while to get there. We want to work to that personalized environment where every student gets to learn what they need at their pace, and having the availability to shrink the classroom so that we can use teacher and technology to do that is very exciting. So our students are certainly embracing that, and anytime we put technology in their hands, they love that.
Well, of course. And there's a lot of material, I'm sure, that's becoming available digitally. Give us some idea of the scope of how things are going digitally. Is this, dripping out, or is there like this explosion of just about everything you want is now available digitally?
Sure, you see the world there. A lot of things are available in digital format. The key there is, again, access, and that students, teachers, and anybody's able to access it anywhere. So no longer does you have to be in that classroom with that teacher and learn it at that time. You could be at home, and I would love to have been at school where I didn't get what my teacher said, and I could have rewound what she just said and watched it again until I got it. Well, with the availability of online content now, they're able to watch the video and rewind it and do it at their pace to learn it. So that's an exciting feature of virtual learning. But all of our curriculum is in 7 to 12. We're starting to get into a digital platform. It's in segments and in activities, so the teacher plans for how they're going to use it within their classroom environment.
Sure. You use the term rewind the video, and I'm sure some of those that are technically savvy are questioning, is the video actually on the hard drive of the computer, or are you accessing streaming video from the internet?
Yeah, you can do it both ways. Students that have internet access can certainly do it through streaming. But it's really it's kind of like if you think of YouTube in the YouTube format, you create the video and then you upload that to Schoology, and then that video is there to watch. You need internet access to watch it. But students that don't have internet access, there's ways to get it onto a flash drive or some type of hard drive so that you can watch it on your hard drive if you're at home and still have access to that type of
Sure, and that was going to be one of the
content.
next questions. For those who don't have wireless or internet at home, they can still use this at home.
Sure. Most of the pieces are downloadable so that you can have it right on your computer. So the students that need to interact with the content at home and don't have internet access, they're able to do that. When they come back to school, they just upload that and get it where it needs to belong, where it belongs. So that could be to the teacher or to a digital box or wherever it needs to go.
Sure. So let's talk about usage in the classroom. How much of that is on their own? How much is with the teacher? And then how do they use it at home?
Certainly, there's that balance, and the teacher's still the most important asset in that classroom with their students to judge those types of questions. But we're trying to, again, when we have the virtual content on Schoology, students are able to work at their pace. It's no longer that everybody has to be at the same place at the same time. We certainly know that our students come to the classroom with different needs and abilities, and we want to be able to meet those needs and abilities. And digital platform allows us to do that. But most importantly, it creates a small group environment with that teacher who's able to see what the needs are of their students with a much smaller group and assess that and then make adjustments to lessons in the future. So the teaching just expands, and it just gives much more flexibility and opportunity.
Sure. In the older days, they would have the classes that were advanced and maybe the medium and the slower learners. Does this give the ability that, the students can be mixed together a little bit more and interact with each other, and you can have very fast performing and slower performing all in the same classroom?
Yeah, and our students are already in those types of classrooms all the time. Now at the high school level, students are self-selecting a lot of their classes that they take, so they're level, and there's prerequisites in each of the classes. At the middle school environment and in the intermediate school environment, we have mixed abilities in all our classes. So it allows us, again, for the person that needs to soar and run, they're able to, and the person that needs a little more support, and they might just need support in that one topic, we're able to help them and slow it down for them. So again, it creates that flexibility that's so important.
Sure. Sounds like you're very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm very excited and just love the direction that we're going as a district.
Sure. We have about 30 seconds left. Sum up why you think this will be excellent for the teachers and the students.
Again, it creates that structure and framework to meet all the needs of all students, and anytime that we're able to bring technology into that type of environment, we've created a thirst now. We've gone slow enough that it's really incorporated a thirst for our teachers and our students. They're ready for this type of environment. So all the work that's been done in the background has set us up for this day.
Excellent. Mr. Hornberger, thanks for being with us. And we'll be back right after these few words with one more guest.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome back to the final segment of Your Local Government. Our subject today is how education is training with technology. And now our guest is Mr. McCormick from the district. And again, help people understand how long you've been there and what your role is at the district.
Sure. I've been in the district for 3 years now. My role is the Director of Technology. Prior to that, I was going back, I was a classroom teacher for 5 years as a regular ed as well as special ed instructor. And then I moved to be a technology coach to help teachers with technology. And then now to my current role as a Director of Technology.
Okay, that's a pretty big hat to wear. Things are changing. I'm sure one of the things that people are wondering about is the infrastructure you need, the hardware, the software, the wireless. Give us some background as to what has to be in place to pull this all off.
Yeah, well, the writing on the wall has been there for quite some time now to know that this was the direction that education has to go to be able to better serve the students. And so we've taken steps to increase our network access, our wireless access in every building. We now have an access point, a wireless connector in every single classroom to be able to support the needs and the demands that the student computers will be doing. We've taken steps, and we've looked at hardware and purchased hardware that have been slowly infusing into the classroom. So now we have classroom sets of laptops and classroom sets of iPads, and we've had those for quite some time that we've continued to add to the numbers.
Yes.
And then software, we're always looking to increase our software and the availability of it. I know the LMS was discussed earlier with Schoology. We've taken on that to allow the connection between the students and teachers to take place, as well as some cloud storage options, some collaboration tools using the cloud to help the instructional process go.
Sure. Dr. Troop had mentioned earlier that it's kind of sort of like Facebook group where people comment, and for those who are technically savvy, where is that information stored? At the local server, or is that all up in the cloud that's unique to the school district?
So all the information is predominantly up in the cloud. So it's the internet cloud of all things is where the students and teachers would access and put their content. And then a lot of that, what it really does is they have to sign in with a username, a secure login to be able to access their private information.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the learning management system that Schoology is the one product that we're using. It allows the teacher to pull from the variety of resources that are out there. There's a lot of open educational resources, OER. You may have heard before that is a popular term now because there's so much out there that's free and open for educational use. So it's the teacher that pulls that into the classroom, the virtual classroom in the LMS, and then directs questions towards it, has students interact with it. We've been doing that for a while, for the last 2 years, with that learning management system. The exciting part, in particular this year, our foundation, the Ephrata Area Education Foundation, sponsored the creation of 6 entire courses, so that it essentially represents a virtual lane to get to the end goal for that course, to run parallel to the traditional classroom, so that a student theoretically could opt out of the face-to-face for 2 weeks while they're recovering from surgery or they're on a trip or whatever, and engaged in the classroom through the virtual lane, and then hop right back in. So that's where we're heading, where kids have multiple options, where teachers can pull in those open education resources into the learning management system and interact with the students, have them engage with the content and with each other in that environment. So that's the cool thing about where we're heading right now.
I think people might be a little confused when you say the foundation actually made some courses available. Can you expound on that in just a bit?
Creation of courses takes time. So our teachers are teaching during the school year, so they actually are underwriting the cost of paying those teachers this summer to create virtual courses that we will then own.
Interesting.
In the past, they've sponsored scholarships so that one student needed to take a course that didn't meet his or her schedule, and they would pay the tuition fee, which was $300 to $500 for that course. Now we're going to own those courses, so we won't be paying anyone. The payment comes on the front end, and that's where the foundation stepped up and said, you know what, this is where the future is going for this district. Let's support it.
Interesting. Any opportunity that those courses could be used somewhere else and generate revenue?
They certainly could. Right now, we want to make sure that they're quality and they're going to go hand in hand. So the teachers that create them are going to be using them this year. A year from now, we'll have a better answer for that question.
Yes.
We're really interested in just seeing how that can work as a pilot program.
Sure. And Mr. McCormick, you said that you're using both iPads and laptops, so I'm assuming that this software supports various software platforms.
Yes, the iPads are going to be distributed to students in the 5th and 6th grade, and the Dell laptop 3150s are going to be distributed to 7th through 12th grade students. So the software, because it's cloud-based, is cross-platform. So a lot of the same software, such as Schoology, that the students interact with, it really doesn't matter what device they're on. Any internet-enabled device will be able to access that content.
Sure. And whenever you hear the internet, some people get very concerned. There's some quite inappropriate material on the internet. What safeguards are there that children don't get to that?
Yeah, we're well aware of the pitfalls that the internet can provide. And so before any student gets their device, one of our initiatives was to create a course and enroll every student who's getting a device into a cyber safety and digital citizenship course. In this course, they will make sure that they will learn content and have to actually pass content that shows that they've demonstrated understanding of the dangers of the internet, what is appropriate to do, what is not appropriate to do, and how to respond to some things that are inappropriate, such as cyberbullying and stuff like that. Aside from that, all the devices will be filtered. So no matter where they are, when they connect to the internet, that filter will be in place, and it will prevent them from accessing inappropriate content.
Sure. Now, there's got to be some technical support. What kind of technical support will you have to support all of this?
Well, the district has a technology services department. In addition to that, we're actually beginning using high school students who are interested in the field of technology. This was our first year utilizing those students to be able to fix hardware support. This coming year now, not only are they going to be fixing hardware support, but then they're going to be working with their peers with customer service and kind of working through any trials or problems that they may have. So we're really excited at the fact that we're going to get students some practical application of learning some skills to work with technology.
Absolutely. That's a great opportunity for them. This time has really flown by. So, Dr. Troop, if you kind of sum it all up for us and give us your closing comments.
Well, hopefully you've heard in their voices as well as in the words the excitement that we have about where we're going and the potential this coming school year possesses for all of our students. We've tried to raise supports for teachers and students as we raise expectations. That's just kind of how we do business at Ephrata. But in particular, the new potentials from this upcoming school year by giving students technology in their hands to access on their pace represents a new step, a next step, I think, in our journey to really reaching every individual student that we serve. As always, communication through change is important, so I ask any parents that are watching our show to to keep their building principal and classroom teachers informed of any difficulties they're having. We may stumble with a couple of items coming out of the blocks, but certainly we're willing to actively engage in solving those, and we think it's going to be a great year for all the kids at the Ephrata Area School District.
Absolutely. We'll have to have you back to give us an update on how it's progressing.
Love to.
Okay, well, that's going to do it. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this program. Join us again next time to learn about your local government.